So here we have 260 refineries. Why is taking a door unhealthy for me? There's nothing wrong with the door. I'll get the magnetic control rods up and running again. I stumble with that word so much. Howdy folks, I hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to Satisfactory. So we're here at the home base, and it occurs to me that I didn't really explain what the purpose of the home base is last time, or ever really. It is not my intention to use home base to build all of the parts in the game. The purpose of this place is to build all of the basic components and put them into dimensional depots. That way I can build lots of machines quickly. Things like the iron plates, the iron rods, the reinforced plates, the cables, the wire, all of this basic stuff. And with the inclusion of some of the recipes I got last time, up to the heavy modular frame. Everything else will be handled elsewhere in their own respective factories. Like we have the petroleum coke over here, we have the nuclear power over here. The top of the red mountain over here was all the aluminium. We have our power towers with our oil, which may need to be ripped up eventually, but that's where that is. So now we have to go back and sort of redo tier 7 and 8, now that we have our power going. Start working towards the project part number 6, the assembly director system, which is the adaptive control units and the supercomputers. Adaptive control units we did do before, but they're being made very slowly, with only a few machines. And the bottleneck for all that was mainly these, the heavy modular frames. And as I said at the end of last episode, all of this will be capable of producing 42 heavy modular frames a minute. So instead of having 1 or 2 adaptive control units being built a minute, we will be able to pump out more. Circuit boards and computers, both of those need to be done. The circuit boards, I had discovered this alternate recipe, the silicone circuit board, which is copper and quartz. And that also plays into a high-speed connector alternate recipe that requires quick wire and silica, which is deuterium and quartz, plus some circuit boards. So we don't have to worry about plastic for the circuit boards, or rubber. So providing I get a good location for quartz, the circuit board should be easy enough as well. However, the aluminium setup on top of the mountain is still a bit of a bottleneck for production. And it's not necessarily because I need aluminium for something, it's more so that if I start using the tier 5 belts, I need the alclad sheets. So I need to have the aluminium production up and going. Plus the Mark III miners take supercomputers, fused modular frames and turbo motors, which all require their own things as well. And I need the Mark III miners to place on the resource nodes. Now turbo motors require motors which are being made in the home base as well. Home base is going to be making the motors and the stators. The cooling system needs to be made at the aluminium factory. And we need aluminium casings for the radio control units. So while I am building up the home base in the background, I think I might need to next tackle building a big aluminium plant. So that's where we're going next. Now before I do anything else, I'm going to upgrade the dimensional depots, because I'm going to need a lot of concrete. Manual uploader? I don't think I need that. Stack size? I will get the stack size because that's cheap at the moment. How much is the next one? 7.
Dimensional expansion increased to 200%. Refining manipulation of SAM allows us to now deconstruct non-living matter down to its atomic components in one dimension, and store it in basic bound states in another.
We do not resonate with the tribute song. Do not worship at the window. Desecrate our temple gifts. This shallow serenade is sour and salt.
My intention was not to encroach, if that is what upsets you, nor was it to dispose of material I do not waste.
Well, that was unexpected. I didn't expect the alien to appear out of nowhere like that. What was I doing? I should do this one. I want to do speed. Okay. More?
Dimensional upload speed increased. All of the kinetic and thermal energy released during matter conversion has now been repurposed to aid with dimensional shifting, allowing several parts to pass through, for free.
The window is beautiful. Have you tried making a door?
I assure you that would be a most unhealthy action for the pioneer to take.
Why is taking a door unhealthy for me? There's nothing wrong with the door. Bah.
Dimensional upload speed increased.
Ooh.
The dimensional shift now no longer cares how complex the components of the original part are, and will save each part as a single collection of particles that can be instanced easily.
Grow shift the body cord flow cycle song of the 5-layered shallow state.
I'm working on it, but are you saying there is another layer? Is it a sensor limitation?
Deepen.
Helpful.
Deepen. Okay, so I'm going to go over here and I'm going to... my very raggedy thing over here. That's loading very, very quickly now. Wow. So what I'm going to do... So I'm actually going to put 2 of these down here. And then I'm going to split the thing. There we go. So now we have 2-dimensional depots with concrete. Uploading 120 a minute. That should be 240 a minute. So that should be more than enough concrete I need to build stuff. So here is the aluminium production. Back to our absolute spaghetti. That should be cleaned up today. What have we got going on here? So we have bauxite being mined. And that's coming out over here to some refineries, right? With water to make alumina solution. What am I talking about? Alumina. Alumina. Get it right, Wolfie. So we need water and bauxite. Then that solution is going... that solution is going to the other refineries with some coal. But we have approximately 1,500 petroleum coke to replace this. And that's making water and aluminium scrap. Does the petroleum coke one also make water? It does. You know, I don't know how much water it makes in relation. I should check that. Byproduct, it's water. That'll make electrode scrap. The electrode scrap goes into some refineries with silica to make the ingots. Anything different here? Nope, just that. Okay. And the ingots go either over here to make alkite sheets with copper ingots, or over here to make aluminium casing. Then over here, we're doubling the copper, right? I should start labeling everything. I think I'll start doing that from now on. So we're doubling our copper with some water. with some water. That's not what I wanted to ping. I wanted to ping the water. Is there a water vein up here? There's one over here. Oh, it's all pure. So that would be 3.5 pipes worth. And those are going up here. The steamed sheets, right? Because it's using the water byproduct over here. This is where our sheets are coming from. And the sheets are going to the blah 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 blah. That's going to the home base. For some reason. One of the products we're making at the home base requires copper sheets. And then we have our silica. From the quartz that's down the mountain. And then this nonsense. So is this all of the aluminium nodes that we have? There's no more being hidden, right? There is some over here. There's some normal ones, an impure one. Impure, normal, pure. There's only 4 nodes up here. There's a pure one, and a normal one. There's an impure one, there's a pure one. No more? If there's any more, they haven't pinged so far. These I can train in. So what I need to do is I need to find out how many machines I need to make with how much resources I have available. So this is the same flow chart as the factory currently has, but I've changed where it takes in coal for petroleum coke. And I've given it a maximum of 1,500. And that has changed all of these different things. So with 1,500 petroleum coke, we can have 4,500 bauxite. And with the other nodes laying about, that should be fairly easy to reach. It is, however, going to require a lot of machines. I will be so glad once I can finally build overclocks myself, because that would reduce all of these requirements by quite a lot. But at the moment, I feel like I'm going to have to build a lot of stuff. As you can see, taking the water byproduct from making our aluminium scrap can go into 260 refineries, and that's for doubling the copper ore. Holy moly. Also, I plan to have a control room here like I did with the nuclear plant, so each of these different bits can switch on and off. So working on the premise that I have 1,500 petroleum coke, this is what I'm going to build. Now there might be more than 4,500 bauxite in the world. I don't know if I'll need all of it. I doubt I will. But if I do end up needing more, there's more than enough coal to expand the aluminium factory with just coal. I think the thing that concerns me most is this bit. I need 6,750 water. I think from that one water well with all the pure nodes, I think I can get about 2,500, 2,700 from that. Then there's 37 refineries. I need 100 constructors for 2,600 quartz to make silica. I need 25 refineries to make the instant scrap. I need 80 foundries. I need a pile of things. The constructors at the end there making the aluminium casings, making 1,666 a minute, which is a lot. I will build that. I don't know if there's a better recipe for that. That might change in the future. But for the time being, I'm just going to build what is here. I've just noticed that the game is running in the background, so there's a weird sort of me going as well. Yeah, that's good on me for knowing how to make a video, right? The question is how best to get that much water. There's a lot of water over here. That's probably the best bet. And what I'm going to need... I'm going to need... train station. A big train station. Because there's already 2 train stations at the top of the bridge here, bringing things in and out. The heat sinks and the aluminium casings are going to the nuclear power plant. And the copper sheets are going to home base, and they're making some AI limiters. Which are then also going to... what are they going into? They're going into the electromagnetic control rods for the nuclear plant. So all of this is very necessary. I see a hard drive. Okay. So what needs to happen now is I need to build a huge platform. As ugly as sin as that's going to be. I need to have room for a train station. How do I want to do this? I want a level for a train station, and then I want a small level for logistics, and then I want the main building of the aluminium plant. I'm going to need a lot of space for a lot of this. The copper is going to take a huge chunk. 260 refineries, and then 450 constructors. I am going to use constructors to make the copper sheet, not use the steamed sheet recipe. Because I don't need that many copper sheets currently. If I need more copper sheets, I'll change that out, but 4,000 a minute is going to be plenty. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to build the platform, do whatever tidying I need to get it all straight, maybe do a bit of scouting to see where I can get some water from, and then I'll come back to you once I have something. And I'm back after a brief skip. I have something. This place is going to be enormous, apparently. So I need a lot of stuff. I need like 80 foundries, and then 260 refineries here, and then like 400 constructors for another thing. I need another 30 or 40 refineries somewhere else. I need like 100 and something assemblers. It's going to be quite a bit. But I've set up a big platform here, started putting in some building shells. If we go underneath, I've set up... I made another blueprint with a power pole. So there's lots of power underneath now, so wherever I go, I always have power for me jetpack. This is what I'm working with currently. I have to bring in the petroleum coke from the refinery setup in the blue crater. But I think this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to make some aluminium here. This big building, which is going to be very tall as well, is going to be solely for the copper. We're going to take the water byproduct from making the aluminium ingots and feed them into too many refineries, and then too many constructors to make what we're making, copper sheets. I'm not going to do this steamed copper sheet recipe where we can double the copper sheets using water. If I need that many copper sheets in the future, I can change that. But for the time being, I'm just going to use the water to double the copper ingots, and then use the ingots to make copper sheets. Because I do need copper sheets for heat sinks. Anything extra will just sink. Because I don't think I need that many immediately, but so long as we're actually using it all, we should be fine. Well, I say using it, you know, getting it out of the system as fast as it's being produced. Just so the water can keep flowing and nothing backs up in the aluminium production. Now there is a water over here. We need to bring some pipes up a big cliff. And then bring them over. Now we do need quartz. I go to the aluminium for a second. Does it bother people that I say aluminium? I'm British. I know people comment on the fact that people comment I drive on the wrong side of the road with the trucks, which is funny. So we need quartz, and we need a couple of thousand of it, like 3,000 something, which I can bring in, but I am aware that in the hard drives there are a simple aluminium ingot recipe that only takes the scrap. It makes less ingots, but I don't need the silica. It also appears to be the only alternate recipe. Now I don't need thousands of ingots right now, because I don't need thousands of alclad sheets and thousands of aluminium casings. So what I think I'm going to do, while I do the time skip for building this place, is I'm going to go and get some more hard drives and see if I can get the simple aluminium scrap recipe. Because that would cut out the need for silica. And if I need more aluminium in the future, I can just add in that bit of production. So this place is going to be big. I think it's weirdly going to be something that's seen from all corners of the map, because this is the center of the map and it's going to be very tall. So that's going to be fun. I'm now going to get set in and start building this stuff. It might take me a while, because I need some resources for refineries and stuff. Aha! Well, this is going to be a big chunk of work, isn't it? I am going to go ahead and start doing this. Aha! See you in a moment.
Come on. Listen to me. I've tried so many times to tell you this is as good as I can be. Why isn't it enough to be faithful and also be the hit of the party? Let's just break it down to you and me uptown, dancing all around till the disco ball pops. But I have to be me, and everyone can see your anger is misplaced, and I'm gonna tell you, don't hate me 'cause I get attention. Don't turn me into what I'm not. I have to be me 24/7, and I ain't never gonna stop. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Never gonna stop. No, 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 no. Yeah, 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 yeah. I ain't never gonna stop. No, no. Oh, I ain't never gonna stop. I ain't never gonna stop now, baby. Never gonna stop now, baby. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, no. I ain't never gonna stop now, baby. Woo-hoo. Never gonna stop now, baby.
Look at the sheer mess that we are accumulating. There's so much going on now. We have a building, and it's huge. It dominates the scenery. It's also just a big box. I did try to make it line up with the bridge, so it has the same angle, which I think is cool. But that is the totality of the aluminium production. Incomplete building, I know, but I've spent way too many days on this already. What the hell just happened? Where did I fall? Okay. So, over here in the blue crater we have a train station. We have 1,500 approximate petroleum coke being picked up by this train. And this is going to go to the aluminium plant. Let's take a quick ride. Oh, good God, look at the eyesore. I wish I knew how to build better buildings. Don't worry, that's not the finished thing. Here is the underground train station for the petroleum coke. There will be more train stations for the copper sheets and the other bits for going to the nuclear facility. And this place is called Herzogenbusch. I didn't write that, that was the default name. And I found it amusing, so I left it. Petroleum coke comes out here. I have some smart splitters, so the overflow only goes into the sink, other than this one, which I'm not using currently. It's not all 100% hooked up yet, because of some limitations. So, that's very big and bland, isn't it? So what have I done and what haven't I done? All of this has been built with 1,500 petroleum coke in mind. That's the hard limit. Obviously, we need a certain amount of bauxite and other items in order to have 100% production from that. But because of the limitations of the tier 5 belts, there's only so much we can draw out of each vein. So even though this has been built with 100% efficiency in mind, we're only using, I think, about 2/3 of it. And even then, it's not all 100% hooked up. The pure resource veins can produce 1,200 items a minute, but the tier 5 belt only holds 780, which is about 2/3 of the total production. So we can't have all of it going at the same time until we get whatever upgrades we can to draw out all of those items. I also haven't built the control room yet for webbing out the different power lines. It's all just sort of base running currently, in order to replace what we had before. This web of nonsense over here. The spaghetti. And if we go down below, this is what this looks like. It's going to get a bit more complicated in the future. Over here we have some water extractors. Managed to save on how many I needed by using overclocks in them. Because per Mark II pipe, which takes 600 meter cubed water, we would normally need 5 water extractors, but with overclocks we need 2. So that reduces how many we need for the alumina solution. The water gets pumped up here. Blah 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 blah, over this direction. Into a bunch of refineries. And we're pulling from a pure bauxite, an impure bauxite, a normal bauxite, another normal bauxite, and another pure bauxite. And they're all being coalesced over here. There's some crossing there happening. I missed that. So yes, all of the bauxite is coming up here into different refineries. So I have changed the flowchart a little to reflect some changes for alternate recipes. And again, working with the idea that we have 1,500 petroleum coke, but keep in mind that while the numbers are reflective of full-scale production, we can only do 2/3 of it currently because of the Tier 5 belt. So in total, we need 3,750 bauxite, which will mean that we will need to train in some more in the future probably from where the nuclear facility is. We need 3,750 water. 2,100 of that will be coming from this water well, which I have put in the extractor and the pumps in. I just haven't piped it up yet. And we also need 14 water extractors that are fully overclocked. Hello? Okay. Which are these here. So as long as these are overclocked, with the water well that we can pull from, we have enough water. So there are more refineries here than we really need, because I started doing this with a different flowchart in mind. So there is a few more machines here than we actually require. But for the 3,750 bauxite, we need 18.75 refineries, which will be producing 4,500 alumina solution. And this alumina solution, with the 1,500 petroleum coke, will be going into 25 refineries to produce the electrode aluminum scrap. Oh, I should point out that the alumina solution is the sloppy alumina. 200 bauxite a minute plus 200 water a minute produces 240 alumina solution. And then the electrode aluminum scrap takes 180 alumina solution and 60 petroleum coke to make 300 aluminum scrap and 150. What am I talking about? 105 water a minute. So in total, that should be 2,625 water and 7,000 aluminium scrap. So the water is going into the big building. And the aluminium scrap are going to be going over here into these smelters. Before I get to that, I'm going to go over this side to this circular silo. So here we have a whole bunch of foundries. I think we need 80 something. I forget the exact number. So when I started, I was going to do the normal aluminium ingot recipe, which takes the aluminium scrap and silica. But I decided I wasn't going to do that and just use the simple aluminum ingot recipe, which doesn't take silica. But I did put the machines in case I want to switch that up in the future. So why did I do this? Quartz is... well, it is somewhat plentiful, but I am worried about overusing it. It's much like the crude oil. There are pockets of it around, like over here, and then over here in the blue crater. I think I've also found some over here. There's a few bits. But comparatively to other resources, it is fairly limited. And I do feel that with the quartz. Like, there are quartz nodes here and about, but it's not as plentiful as other resources. So while I could use it to make a lot of aluminium ingots, I kind of want to hold off on that recipe for the time being whilst I'm doing other things, because I do want to make circuit boards and high-speed connectors out of silica, and I'm not really sure how much raw quartz I'm going to end up using to do that. So this might be playing it safe a bit too much. I'm not really sure. But if I do feel like I can expand aluminium production with silica in the future, I will do that. For the time being, I'm going to hold off on that. I know it's better for me in the long run if I have all the things built up as I go, rather than having to go back and do things. But because I don't really know what I'm expecting in the future, especially with Tier 9, I don't want to use what I feel like might be limited resources in case I need a lot of them. Because I might need thousands of oil, so I'm sort of holding off on using all of the oil nodes, stuff like that. That's why I'm trying to avoid using plastic and rubber as much as I can, because I don't really know how much of that I'm going to need. But for the time being, I'm doing the simple aluminum ingot. So this takes 60 aluminium scrap to make 30 aluminium ingots. And for the 7,500 scrap, we need 125 smelters. And this will make 3,750 ingots. Aha! Now the water, that is the byproduct, is going into this big building. Which is not quite decorated at the moment, but I do have a plan for it in the future. Oh. So here we have 260 refineries. It's taking all of the 2,625 water from the aluminium scrap recipe, and it's making copper ingots. And we need 3,937.5 copper ore a minute, which is the most random number. All of this will be producing 9,843 3/4 copper ingots a minute. Which is a lot of copper ingots. Now, while I was doing this, I was wondering if I should use this for copper powder. Because I do need a lot of copper ingots to make a few powders. I spent, I don't know, like an hour or so mulling it over as I was building it. In the end, I decided that I'm going to do copper powder elsewhere, or something dedicated for the nuclear pasta. And at the moment, this place is just going to solely rely on making the copper sheets. A few more incomplete buildings, but the factory is running, so it's okay. Now we're taking 1,875 aluminium ingots and 937 copper ingots. They're going into what should be 13 assemblers to make 1,400 aluminium casings a minute, because we have the alternate recipe now. That's all coming in over here. Got the ingots coming in. We have so many copper ingots. I've put some smart splitters in, so any of the overflow is going into sinks. Holy moly, what? Okay. And the bulk of these assemblers is for the aluminium sheets. 30 aluminium ingots, 10 copper ingots a minute, making 30 aluminium sheets. This takes 625 copper ingots a minute in total, and 1,875 aluminium ingots. And this will be producing 1,875 alclad sheets. Which again is coming down here. This is going to be very useful for my tier 5 belts, which I now have an awful lot of. That's all going in there. Now the reason why we're not using more copper ingots in making alclad sheets and aluminium casings is because we only have so many aluminium ingots from the petroleum coke. So the remaining copper ingots have to come up here to be made into copper sheets. 20 per minute to make 10 sheets per minute. However, the remaining copper ingots, it totals to 8,281 a minute, which is 414 constructors, which are all here. A lot of them not hooked up because the production is still stalled a little. The only thing in this whole chain I haven't done just yet is I need to build 50 assemblers, taking 1,125 copper sheets, and 1,875 alclad sheets a minute to make heat sinks. And that will be producing 375 heat sinks a minute, which will go into our cooling systems and passing off into the nuclear facility, because I think that requires some heat sinks, doesn't it? I think that's being made and being shipped out, yes. I'm still building up and upgrading home base. Since you saw it last, I've added motors and rotors onto the buffet. But originally, before I did all that, that is where I was making the electromagnetic control rods, which go into the various nuclear components for the fuel rods and such. Since doing this, I still have some bare bones productions being made, but because I'm still doing that over there, the electromagnetic control rods are being made at a reduced rate. So the power's still going, it's just not going as much. I haven't bothered building the control room here at the aluminium plant because until I get that fixed, there's not much reason to worry about that. I don't want to hook everything up and then overload the system with power consumption. So next episode I'll worry about that. I'll get the magnetic control rods up and running again. I stumble with that word so much. Electromagnetic control rod. I'll get that set up again, get the power up and running again. Once the power's up and running again, I'll build the control room and get all the aluminium production going. At full pelt. I think I might have underestimated a little how big this game gets in the later game. It's taken me a bit of time just to get this far, so I apologize for the delay between episodes. I do try to keep the episodes in this series contained to, as best I can, a singular topic. I don't want to spend 2, 3, perhaps even more episodes in the series building the one factory. I could split up the production of this into 2 parts, 3 parts, and then put them out more frequently. But personally, I prefer trying to have this contained into one thing, and then the next episode is its own contained thing. Does that make sense? That's my personal take. But I would like you, the viewer, to enjoy this series as much as I enjoy playing it. If you feel like this series is better served shortening the episodes, having them more frequently, but there may be more episodes about the same thing in a row, that's something I should consider. But unless suggested otherwise, I'm going to continue making these episodes in the same manner that I have been. However long it takes, make one episode about a singular thing and then move on to the next thing. I am bad at describing. But aside from that meta concern, the next steps are fairly obvious. I have to finish off the home base and get that all built. I have to make sure that the control rod production's done so that we can get the nuclear facility going up again. Once we've done that, I can build the control room for the aluminium plant and then build the heat sinks. And from there, it's moving on to the greater components like the supercomputers and the turbo motors. One extra thing that I have started to consider is these fused modular frames. I was originally going to use the basic recipe, but now I'm starting to consider this one, which takes fuel. I put it aside beforehand because it took fuel, but I placed a radio beacon in my new aluminium plant, and I have discovered a couple of things. Got some crude oil over here, and some more oil wells over here, which are very nearby. So it's a bit more involved, but it does mean I can double the production rate of fused modular frames. I had set it aside because I was worried about using oil, like I was talking about earlier. But if there's oil nearby, and I'm not really using it, I could be using it for that. Sometimes I feel like I do too much yapping and not enough gaming. Do tell me off if I do that. That's the game plan, and I'll leave it off there. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. I apologise for the wait between episodes. I hope it wasn't too bad. And I shall see you all next time. Cheerio.